My life matters.
We always talk about white people killing black people, but we don't talk enough about black on black crime. We kill each other.
My life matters.
Kansas City is different.
Stuff can happen at a moment.
My life matters.
Say if somebody made me mad, I do the first thing that comes to my mind.
My life matters.
We just go and just retaliate now or just get revenge on anything.
My life matters.
I mean, we've got about 170 homicides already in the city this year.
My life matters.
I saw the news, and an 11-year-old girl was shot and killed, and that's all I saw.
What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome to Free Show Friday. I am Gary B. Jr., and I am excited to be here with you guys today. Um, so, we are here. We are live. Let me know where you're joining from. We got a friend on from South Africa. Let me pull up my chat doc here just to make sure. From Nigeria, I'm sorry. We got Wanabo joining in from Nigeria. He's been using Free Show for over a year now, so that's exciting. PC Jock says they're from Liberty, South Carolina, USA. They've been using Free Show for over a year now. Wow, you guys are awesome. Yeah, I've been using Free Show longer than me. I love it. And then let's see here. Baron Metro Comport Mental says good day from Canada. Baron, let us know how long you've been using Free Show. I'm curious, if at all. Like I said, and if you haven't been using it, you can say, hey, I haven't started yet. I'm just looking into it, which a lot of people tend to do, which is a big deal because it's a big shift that you want to make sure that you do some good research and preparation. So this is a good place to start. It's a great community of people that are looking to grow together. I don't answer all the questions because some of the folks on the team in terms of the community, the developer even at times, he'll jump on and they'll help answer questions because we can all figure out things better together, as you all know. So I don't have to say that to you all, but we got a friend on from Southeast Michigan. I was about to say South Africa again. Darren Schaller, 6833. Been using it for less than a month. That's exciting, man. What do you like the most so far? And what's been your biggest challenge at Darren? I want to know. I want to know. And then we got Claude from Canada. My man Claude from Canada. How long you been using Free Show? I believe you said you started, but I could be wrong. Remind me if you started using Free Show yet. I remember you jumped on with us. It's been maybe what, a month and a half, 2 months now so far that you've been jumping on and finding out about the program. So keep me posted. I'm curious about how things have been working for you and how things are looking so far. But I've got not necessarily a short time with you guys, but I got about an hour and I got to go to another meeting. So I'm excited to make sure that we answer all the questions we can. So start the questions now. Start asking questions now. I want to make sure we do that as a priority. And then I'm going to talk about just briefly about some of the settings that I would change if I were new to Free Show. What are some things I would immediately change in terms of the settings, just the general settings, some fun things in there that you guys have taught me, hopefully some things that you've learned from me as well. So I'm excited. We got SBU Media, Sibusiso, my friend from South Africa. Been using it for 3 months, and Claude said he's been using it for a few good months. I love it. He says, I'm using it in a video chapel and in my church since 4 to 5 months. Wow, that's awesome. Now, I don't know. Tell me, Claude, what is a video chapel? I'm guessing that's like an online live stream thing, but tell me what it is. I'm not familiar with it, so help me out. And let's see here. Darren says he likes the stage displays. That is one of my favorite features as well. A lot of cool stuff in those stage displays that if you've checked out the last video, which we'll jump into now, I want to show you guys some of what I've been working on. And I know that the videos have not been coming as fast and furious as they have in the past. And the only reason for that is because I started a new opportunity. And so I've been busy working on that, which I love to do. And so bear with me as we continue in this shift. I'm just making sure I get my right outputs here. And boom. All right, that's good. And let's turn off the slides. All right. And so what came out this week? Just yesterday, we released a video for stage displays, right? Talking about some of our favorite features. This particular video was requested in Reddit. It's not necessarily the video wasn't, but the question was posed in Reddit. And the question had to do with how do you have or finish up like a choir or praise team practice right before service when people are there, right? And still show your opening countdown timer, or maybe you just got a looping slideshow with some announcements and upcoming events and things like that. And so this video walks you through how to do that. So the people that are there, maybe drinking coffee, drinking water, mingling, connecting, giving each other hugs and hanging out, getting ready for service to start, will be there and they'll see the slideshow while the praise team or the choir are still able to see the stage display with the lyrics, so they can practice with the lyrics in the back on the stage display, that is. And so that video is all about that. It's a really cool setup. I call that going into the lab. So that's kind of like the free show lab that I kind of put myself in the mindset of when I'm really trying out something new or answering a unique question and diving into it. So it's a little bit longer. It's not as long compared to some of my other videos recently, but there's been times where I've released 2-hour videos that I'm in the lab doing a full recreate video and things like that. And so we'll be getting back to some of those. I just got to dedicate some time set aside for those because they do take quite a bit of time. But this stage display for choir practice is really highlighting some cool features about the stage display that check it out and let me know what questions you guys have. Post them in the comments and then in the live chat, but also in the actual video itself when you get time to watch it. Now, quick announcement. I don't know if you guys know it or not. I guess you do if you turned on some settings, which I'm gonna talk about. There is a new version of FreeShow. So we've got 1.5.2 that just came out. So I'm gonna go to CR releases here. I'm at freeshow.app and I went to CR releases and it takes me into their GitHub page. All right. And it's github.com. And this is church apps. So FreeShow is actually under the umbrella of an organization called Church Apps. And Church Apps is unbelievable because they offer, I don't know how many different apps, but they all are free for churches. One of them is a website building app. One of them is a church management system. Some of you all may be using like something like Planning Center or something like that. They have a resource that is exactly like that in terms of providing the same features, but completely free. And it syncs up seamlessly with FreeShow, and it's called Chums. All right. And then they have the opportunity for you to do your own live streaming from your website and all that kind of stuff. And the church website piece, which is completely free as well, which I love. But in this update, all right, let's talk about this. 1.5.2, they set up, it says set next timer on PDFs, okay? Shows list updated if duplicated while searching. So the shows list is updated if duplicated while searching. That one, I got to think about that and put my mind to it. So the shows list is updated. The shows list while searching. Okay. That's interesting. And then some small tweaks and then some bug fixes. And when we say bug fixes, these are the things that people may have submitted on GitHub that needed to be updated. So fix next scripture verse not showing on the stage display, right? I've seen that and I remember somebody probably putting in a request for that if it happened. If I remember correctly, some time ago, maybe a month or two ago, where they were trying to show the next verse coming up for their pastor because their pastor was used to seeing it, but it wasn't showing up in the next verse, right? Or the next text box, right? For the next verse. Fix HTML Bible styling missing in the output. Interesting. All right. I don't even know what HTML Bibles are. That's crazy cool though. I wonder how that's different from API Bibles. I have to find out for you guys. And if you guys know, let me know in the comments. Scripture subverses fixed. Nice. Fixed usage log reset not working. Some Pro 6 files not importing. So Pro Presenter 6. Fix some items applied twice from the template. Okay. Fix focus mode reloading. All right. Fix mode for auto scroll works better. Okay. Focus mode auto scroll works better. That's nice. Fix the global transition pop-up, sometimes changing other transitions. And then remote show replaced CSS zoom with transform scaling for better Safari and Firefox support. So those are some developmental things that are behind the scenes, I would say more than anything. But in this, you also get all these beta updates that came along with it. So the beta updates are listed in the beta. So mark shows as played in the project. I haven't got to test that one out yet. That's pretty cool. Scripture split verses at near punctuation. That's a pretty cool feature. And then this one is past select profile arguments to startup command. Okay, so you can pass your select profile arguments to a startup command. Okay, faster saving, and I have noticed that it does save faster and it opens up faster when it's trying to recall what's been saved. Let's see, small memory optimizations. That might have been what I'm experiencing. And then they had some scripture fixes. Let's see, a fixed slide recording sometimes not playing. That's a big deal. Fixed unnamed times/variables, timers and variables causing companion to fail. Okay, I didn't run into that, which is I'm glad I didn't. Let's see here, fixed auto locate media option not changing. Fix the font name style, text style with quotes. Fix last used slide in focus mode. Okay. And then fix localization item order sometimes incorrect. Now, this one is one I ran into that I did submit with the localization where you can make a song be in 2 different languages, right? I know we do Bibles in different languages, but you can also do that with your slides, right? With your text in your slides, you literally can globalize it to where, or localize it, I'm sorry. It's a globe on the icon that you hit and it'll automatically do it, but it was doing it and it was mixing up the text boxes and they would be in different orders on some of the slides. Let's see, a fixed reference on first slide not working, and then fixed freeze when playing scripture from the remote show, and fixed freeze with deleted action tag. And then these we got to talk about, I believe, last week. More than 2 audio channels should work for supported devices, and then slide media set to foreground does not repeat to following slides. That's a big deal. And then some stage display changes and things like that. Let me check the chat here. Let's see what we got going on. So SBU Media said they've been using it for 3 months, using FreeShow, and then I'm using it at Video Chap. Okay, we talked about that. Darren said he liked the stage displays. Okay, so Claude says they have a prayer house that has chapel integrated with a studio setup. 4 cameras, OBS, FreeShow, etc. Let's go. I like that. Okay, so you guys call that the video chapel. Okay, nice. Let's see, set up an ATEM switcher. Oh, how do you set up an ATEM switcher? This is Larry Sweeting saying, how do you set up an ATEM switcher using OBS, but have the PTZ cameras via NDI? So the question I would ask Larry is, what do you need the ATEM to do? I'm guessing, do you have other cameras connected to the ATEM? Because if you don't have anything connected to the ATEM in terms of additional cameras, then you won't need that in the equation. And then you said using OBS, but have the PTZ cameras via NDI. So PTZ cameras that work through NDI will be able to feed directly into OBS, right? And you wouldn't need any wires or anything like that to work. For as long as they're connected to the network and you can find them in OBS, you'll be fine. And let's see here. I'm curious about what the ATEM is doing in that setup, though. So talk to me about, Larry, what that setup, what the ATEM is doing. Do you have additional cameras or something like that? And then Unwannable says, how do you use the multi-audio channels that was added in version 1.5.1? That one I have not got to test out. I was curious about that as we were reading it, because what I do know is in here, I see this, and then it's got the option for the output, so you can see the multiple audio channels there. Let's see here. And it said from supported devices. And so that's the part I'm not sure about what's supported and what's not. Let's see. That was in, is that here? Okay, more than 2 audio channels should work for supported devices. All right. So I'm not sure, because when I've tested it out, I was testing out 2 videos playing at the same time when I was trying to make one come from the primary, one come from the training, but I don't have a way to route those out of my computer like separately. So that's the supported devices, I'm guessing, is that you got to have something that's going to be able to route those out. And I have not figured out how to do that yet. So I'm curious about how to make that work myself. I'll continue to test on it to figure out. And in the meantime, if anybody else figures it out, let us know. Let us know in the comments on this, for example. All right. And let's see here. I got somebody calling. All right, let's see here. Larry says, I'm trying to save one processing time, or save on processing time for my laptop. Oh, for video, audio, and video, on my laptop for audio and video for my live stream. Okay. So save on processing for the laptop for audio and video for my live stream. Yes, I get that. I guess the question is, are you trying to live stream from the ATEM? That would be my question. Are you live streaming from the ATEM as opposed to OBS? Is that what you're saying? And if so, then you would have still just one output from your computer, HDMI output from your computer going into your ATEM, and then from there you would be able to stream that through the ATEM, but you would still just have one output. It wouldn't be like you have multiple different you wouldn't be able to use it to switch. It would just be there to stream. And then you would still have to have some way to switch your cameras, your PTZ cameras, switch the scenes in OBS. This is me talking off the cuff, just thinking about out loud of what you're talking about. So some of it does make sense, and I'm not going to act like I'm going to be able to answer that immediately, but that's my first thought is how do you plan to, and this is Q&A time, so I'll make sure to include that in there. But how are you planning to make it to where the way you've got that set up, what's it offloading? Maybe that's what I'm saying. What's that ATEM offloading for you? Is it offloading the live streaming processing, or are you using it to record what you're doing and you're still live streaming from your computer through OBS? Those are the questions I would ask. And you may or may not have answers to it, but if you do, post those in the comments. All right. Let's see here. I think that's all the questions so far. I love what I'm hearing from you guys in terms of the different feedback and things like that that you guys are offering in terms of how you're using FreeShow. I love that. Like I said, I love that video chapel piece with multiple cameras and all that kind of stuff. Claude, you might tell us what are you using for your multi-cam setup? I'm guessing you're using, you said, let me see here. You said, so 4 cameras, OBS and FreeShow. I'm guessing you're using some type of ATEM switcher or something like that with those 4 cameras. Let us know though. I'm curious, Claude. All right. So let's talk about some settings that I would change. All right. And I'm going to clear this out so you guys can see the full view. The settings I would change in FreeShow, if I were using it for the first time, I would go to my settings and I'm just going to go through here. I'm going to start at general. All right. So as I'm here, I would have my 24-hour clock. I have that off. You can have it on if you wanted to. And then let's see here, activate output screen on startup. Now this is one I actually prefer to keep that off. It actually is cool if you have it as a dedicated place in your ministry, in your church. It makes a lot of sense. For me, for what I do, if it gets in the way and it frustrates me at times. So I'm gonna keep that off personally. I'm turning it off now because I've had it on and I didn't realize it. And then down here, we got managing your groups. There's not much that I would do in managing the groups, but you can go here and you can look and see if there's anything in there that you like, that you need. But if you go up here to the options here, you'll see more options for you in terms of the way that your colors are set up, the way that your group shortcuts are set up and all that kind of stuff. I don't do much with that, but that's something that you might want. You could even set a certain template for each group. And I say groups are parts of the song. So on the left side here, you see the break, the bridge, the chorus. So whenever you get to a chorus, you can make it change and show a certain template or a certain way that it looks in your show every time, which is pretty cool. All right. I don't use it, but that's something that's pretty cool. And then let's see here, transparent slide preview. I've got that off. But this one here, the contrast, high contrast color groups, I turn that on. That one is usually not on by default. At least in the past, it wasn't. I would turn that on. And then arrow left and right changes the project item on the first slide. I keep that on. I don't really do much with shows in the live streaming setup too much. I usually make things in loop and then I'll control things with variables and a lot of that and overlays and things like that. But that's something else that you can look at as well. And let's see here. Coming back to the comments here. Let's see here. Video from my live stream. Okay, so Unwindable says, yeah, for sure. Christopher can help with multi-audio channel stuff. I'm sure he can. I'm gonna have to talk with him. And if he's on now, he can jump in and give us some feedback. I just don't know that he's jumping in with us today. And then Larry says, I was just wondering, I'm live streaming via OBS, okay, with the PTZ cameras through NDI. I'm just trying to figure out an easier way to use FreeShow and OBS. I'm controlling the cameras via the, I'm guessing the PTZ controller, because he says the game controller. So maybe you're talking about a video game controller. That's pretty cool. And then he says, I'm switching via OBS. Okay. And so if you're trying to do a quicker or easier way to switch between, I would recommend using Companion. Okay. I recommend using BitFocus Companion, which is just a free download. Let me see here. I'm gonna come in and find that for you guys. I'm gonna just drag it up there. And I've talked about this before, but all right, so here we go. And this is called let's see here. BitFocus Companion. I'm going to reject all the cookies. I want to get to the actual page. BitFocus buttons. No, that's not it. What is it? It should be just called BitFocus. I'm doing the search down here to make sure I get us to the right place. Let's see. Yeah, it's called Companion. And so it says get started free, prices and plans. I don't use any of that. Let me see. Maybe it's this one. This is bitfocus.io. Somebody help me out. What is the page for BitFocus? Let me see here. I'm just launched the GUI. And so when I go there, I got a different setup. So this is what I'm used to. I don't know how to get to it though. This is called BitFocus Companion, but when you do a search for it, let's see here. I'll just say app. So it looks like that, but that's not the logo we want. It looks a little bit different. It looks like that. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing this, Larry, but what is it called? I'm looking for this, but I guess that's their logo. For presentation switches and broadcast equipment, Stream Deck plugin, use companion buttons, live stream. Okay. Let's go into companion and let's see how to get to it. I don't see how to get to it. And I guess you got to download it and that'll get you to it. So maybe that's all I did. I just downloaded it from here. You can just download Windows, Linux, or Mac or whatnot. And I've got to log in. So that's done. And then I'll just log in. And it brings me here. And so I use Companion quite a bit. Documentation. Yeah, I'm not sure why it looks like this. I'm not used to that. Let's see. Apple Silicone. All right, so if I do that, it downloads that. So I use this here, Companion. They got a Companion Pi. They got buttons. They got Companion Offline Module Bundle. But I would go there, download this, and it's completely free from what I understand. And then you'll be able to open it up. And then what it'll do is once you open it up and log in and everything, it'll bring you into an interface like this. And so, Larry, for you, going back, let's bring up our Q&A piece here. So for you, Larry, what it means is you'll be able to manage, and I'll do, we'll do a split screen so you can see it a little bit, see without it being blocked. You'll be able to manage your ATEM if you wanted to. You can manage OBS, you can manage FreeShow, in terms of you can set up buttons to control that. So if you go here to your buttons interface, you'll see that this is literally my interface right now on my iPad. And you can do that with an iPhone or another computer if you wanted to. And you could go in and you could do, there's an option for interactive buttons here. And so I can go to web buttons. And so on my iPad, this is what I'm looking at right now. This is what it looks like. And I'm just switching back and forth. So I can go to full share and I tap that button on my iPad and it looks like that. That just brings up the full screen. I've got a button there in the middle. You guys see this button that says Circle Gary. When I click that, it makes Circle Gary go away. Click it again, and it brings me back. Okay, so I made a button for that. And I've been working on some Spotify stuff. I haven't finalized it yet, but I'm working. I haven't released a lot of videos that you guys, but I have been working on a lot of videos. They're just not working out the way I want them to. So bear with me. I've got a button here for my Free Show Friday intro and for my Free Show Friday outro as well. And I've got a timer showing that I'm live and all that kind of stuff. So you can do that, and then you can use it to switch your scenes. These are all scenes in OBS. Okay, so this top row of purple buttons, these are all scenes in OBS, and I can tell which one I'm on because I set it to where it'll go green. So Larry, check out that video I made about BitFocus Companion with FreeShow, and I think it'll give you a lot of insight. It's a free way to work on some ideas instead of switching with OBS. Okay, let's see here. Cannot get the download on my tablet. You don't have to download it on your tablet. You actually control it and set it up from a computer. So it runs from a computer, and then on your tablet, all you do is go to the website, right? So you just get on your device. Let me see here. And so on my computer, I've got this BitFocus app up here, and I can say show or hide the window. And this is what shows up. It looks like this. And so on my tablet, you just type in this HTTP IP address. Okay, as long as they're on the same network. Your computer and your tablet have to be on the same network. So you would type this in on your tablet or another computer or whatever, and it'll allow you access to be able to use the interface. All right. So that's literally all I'm doing. I'm looking literally at my tablet, and it's got that IP, not the IP, excuse me. It's got this website address in my browser, and it's on Google Chrome on my iPad. Okay, so that's how it works in that sense. Let's see here. There is now oh. So on Wannaboy, you saying there's an app for FreeShow on the Google Play Store? It is called FreeShow Remote App or something like that. Ooh. And it works well. I have not tried the FreeShow Remote App, and all my Android phones are old. So does it only work on mobile, or can you work on a computer? So that's the unwantable. So Larry, for you, do I download on a computer and not on a tablet? Absolutely. You download Companion on your computer. Okay, so this is a computer software. The way it works is it works over the network. And so the network is what this is. This is an IP address on the network that is basically tied to and points to this interface. And so you can pull it up. And so then you got this option here to launch the GUI, which is the guided user interface, which is this page here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and hide that. And I keep that running on my computer. So I keep the BitFocus running on my computer. I always have it open. It's always ready to run. So whenever I open up my tablet and go to that that IP address, it's always ready to go because this is running. But if I close this and quit it, then I won't be able to switch on my tablet because I've quit the actual program. So it runs from a computer, and it's controlled through a Stream Deck device. If you wanted to, you could buy one of those with the physical buttons, or you can use the virtual buttons like I showed you guys like this. You can use this on any computer as long as you have that computer on your network. You can just type in this IP address, or not mine, type it on yours, whatever it comes up with. This is the one for mine, and it'll show up for you. All right, so that would be my recommendation for you guys, for Larry. All right, so let's go back into FreeShow and keep bringing those questions. But high contrast groups is a big deal for me because what it does is it allows me to do cool stuff. To me, that's cool. To where when I go into a show, it gives me this thick color coding here, and if I had music, it gives me a very bold look for my actual song groups, right? So chorus is big bright pink, verse 1 and verse 2. Those are they're in a solid color. The bridge is there in a big solid color, so I can see everything a lot easier. That for me is a recommendation I would make to anybody using FreeShow. All right, let's go back into the settings. Here's some other things that I want to make sure you guys are aware of. In the outputs, this one's going to be very unique to your setup. So you want to make sure you're confident in what you're doing. But for me, for my primary, what I've done is I'm put a number 1 in front of that because I always want that to be the first one in my preview. So I renamed my actual output, and I put 1, 2, and 3. And I got 2 and 3 here. I don't even use these anymore. I actually use this one. But whatever order you want these to show up in your preview, you can make those, and you wouldn't have nearly as many as I have. You don't need 15 different outputs. You guys may need 3, maybe 4, depending on what your setup is, but you can set them and put a number in front of them in the rename and make that show up always the same on your preview. So if you want one to be ahead of the other, then you need to name it different. But the cool thing about it is this primary shows up as my number 1 all the time in this first box. And that's what I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for that first box. And then obviously you go to number 2 and whatnot, depending on how you label them. So I would always label my outputs with numbers and then the title of whatever they're related to. All right. Going into styles, this one is fun. For me, my recommendation to any ministry is to always set up a style for your ministry, because you want to be as consistent as you can. Okay. Let's see, I'm checking the time. So 11:35, I got to be done in about 25 minutes. So keep the questions coming though. In your styles, I always recommend. So for example, if I go to my default style here, it doesn't have anything to override anything. All right. This is important and it's fine. However, once you determine what you want your church's style to be in terms of the way you want your slides to look, you can put in an override slide with a template, and you can create and set up your own template to where your ministry is going to always look the same with this default setup. Okay. To where the background slides and overlays are all active and on. And you want to set it up to where your songs are going to look a certain way. And then this is your scriptures. Your scriptures are going to look a certain way all the time. Now, this is important because if you have 2 separate outputs, you can have an override slide for your default and an override slide for your live stream that are totally different. So if you look here at my live 2 training, which is active, it's got a little checkbox. You'll see that these, when I turn the slides on, which I don't have them on right now. So if I turn those on, you'll see Welcome to FreeShow Friday show up down here at the bottom, because that's what this slide is on. It says it and it brings it into lower thirds. Now, why does it look lower thirds like this while the main one looks like that? Okay. It's because I've got it set to where it overrides any text that's going to be looking like it's not a scripture, right? Anything that's not categorized as a scripture is going to automatically go into a lower third setup that I've got here for this particular style. And I just called it lower third. I also have it to where we'll override my scriptures with a scripture. Well, I don't have it set up, so I don't have it overriding the scriptures, but I could set it up to override scriptures. And so I would just hit this little icon here, and I would find a lower third scripture template that I like. And so I got a lot of templates. You guys won't have this many, so don't worry about that or be overwhelmed by it. But they're in alphabetical order. So I'm looking for scripture, and you'll notice that these are scriptures with 2 verses. There are 2 different Bible versions. You can download those off my website completely for free if you want that. But you also have them in default. So these are some of the default ones right here. So this is scripture lower third, and this is scripture lower third 2. These are going to be there automatically for you guys. And so I would maybe select this one here. So if I select that, now you'll see scripture lower third is the default for my live training 2. So whenever I show a scripture, that's going to be the default showing. All right. So setting that up is going to be important for you, especially if you have a actual live stream output, kind of like what Larry was talking about, where he sends some content to OBS from FreeShow potentially. And it sounds like Claude is doing the same thing. This is a good way to do that. What's going on out in the house? Welcome to the show, my friend. Tell us where you're from and tell us how long you've been using FreeShow. All right. And so we're just talking about settings that I would change. All right. So in your styles, I would make sure to set up a style for my live stream that has lower thirds as my style override. Okay. For the slide. And this just means slides just represent anything that's not a scripture. So that could be presentation text. It could be song lyrics. And then scriptures are the shows that you create, or just scriptures that are categorized. When you're pulling them straight from the scripture drawer, they're going to automatically be categorized as a scripture. Is going to default to show that way. And the unique thing about scriptures is you need to make sure, I'm going to turn this off for now. You need to make sure that your scriptures have, usually going to have 2 text boxes, one for your metadata, not metadata, but your meta, which is your reference, right? So your reference content, the actual book of the Bible that you're referring to, the verse, the chapter, and the Bible reference. What type of Bible are you using? That's one box. And then you need to have another one that actually has the readout of the full scripture. Okay. So that's why you have the breakout of 2 separate overrides. Okay. Let's go into connections. All right. So for me, I would not keep these on general. I had those on for a training, but the API one, I keep it on all the time. I would turn that on, especially if you plan to use Companion, because this is the only way that FreeShow and Companion are going to talk to each other. You'll notice in small text there, Companion is showing up as one of the reasons why you want to turn this on. Some of you all may be familiar with WebSockets and REST and OSC. I have no clue what those things are about, so I don't use them, but I do use Companion, so I have to turn this on. All right. And so when I click on that, it says BitFocus Companion Connection, and it shows you some API docs as well that you can use to help you streamline that process. All right. And let's go to files. Now this one is kind of the bread and butter of some changes you want to make. So I've got mine set to auto save. All right, every 15 minutes. This is totally up to you and your processing power of your computer. For me, this is what I prefer. It's just a good safety valve, I guess you could say. And then I got it set to auto backup daily. So I've got a lot of backups of my free show to where to automatically just back up. And then the data location. All right. Now, this is a question that came up. I think somebody emailed me about this week. And they had an issue where they updated to the latest version and they couldn't, all their shows were completely blanked out. They didn't have any more shows. And it had to do with this setup here, your data location. I got my data location as in my documents folder on a folder called Free Show. And then my shows are located inside of that Free Show folder in a folder called Shows. All right. You want to set yours up to be very similar to this. Documents is not that important, but I would say put in your documents for simplicity's sake and have it set up just like that to where your shows are in the shows folder inside the Free Show folder, and your Free Show folder is inside of your documents. Now, some of you all might have that in a like an online piece or something like that. But if you want to do online backups, I would probably recommend turning on the Google API service more so. It's just more streamlined for that, more setup, set up that way. I made a video about that months ago, so you can check that out. Much of that, I don't think any of that has changed. So definitely check that out. All right. Profiles. This is something that's debatable. I don't really have a recommendation on what to change in the profiles. I've got an admin profile that you can see there. I made a training volunteer, but I just did that for training. This is going to really depend on you and your ministry. And one of the cool things you can do is you can make as many profiles as you want, hypothetically. And so what I would do is maybe make some that are just related to the actual names of your volunteers or the names of your service, right? If you got more volunteers than you do services, then I would maybe look at it and say, okay, this is Sunday service profile. This is Wednesday service profile, or midweek service profile, or Saturday service profile. And then that's what your volunteers are going to look for. And you can make that really simple for them when it comes to simplifying the process of what to do. That would be clutch, right? So make it just be the name of the service, and that's the one they click on, and it gives them all the access they need. And you would dictate what they need to have access to, right? So you would dictate which projects they would need to see. Okay. So for me, I've got all these different projects that I have created, and you can dictate what they want, what they want to see inside of those. All right. And then I say projects, these are actual folders that I have, I believe. Let me double check and make sure. So if I go back out, yeah, so these are my folders. And then inside those are different projects. So you can dictate which folder they have access to. You can dictate which folder they have access to from here, and then give them access to it, right? So if you have a folder for just all of your Sunday service stuff, then you can give them access to that. All right. And then for your shows, same idea. With most ministries, it's going to be important for the volunteers to be able to make a show. So I wouldn't make it to where they can not see any of those, or not. I would make it to where they can edit your shows, right? That's going to be a big deal. But there's going to be some shows like songs that they may not need to change. So you can make that to where it's just read only, but maybe make it to where they can, maybe there's a show that you guys make this for notes or something like that. That would be something that I would say they can, have a quick and easy way to edit some things and make those pop up while the pastor's teaching or something like that we can make those notes and pop up some things during the service. And then the same way for stage, that would likely be read only. You really wouldn't need them to be able to make too many changes there, most likely. Overlays the same way. Overlays might be a little unique because with overlays, you might need to have them have room to edit, but not likely, because I would have them edit variables for my overlays. So I would, you can make some adjustments there as well in terms of what they can edit and what they can see. seeing everything is not a big deal, but editing is going to be a big deal because you don't want them to feel uncomfortable to where they might mess something up. And that's the main thing. All right. Let me check the notes here. Al says, I have a theory. What if FreeShow can listen into the service via an auxiliary or mic input and the money a scripture or phrase or I'm guessing you're saying the moment a scripture or phrase is said or quote, FreeShow puts it on the screen in a split second. Oh, come join Al joining us from Ghana. That would be crazy. That would be cool. It'd be crazy, but that would be cool. Uh, he said I've been using it for months now, give and take about 3 months. Okay, and now we're gearing up to roll it up across all of our branches. That is awesome, my friend. It sounds like you're pretty comfortable using the software because you got some ideas on some ways to fine tune this thing and make it run like crazy cool, right? Tell me some of your favorite features of it, Al, related to what you guys are doing over there in Ghana. Let's see here. TR Precht says, I am coming from OpenLP. Hey, man, me too. That's where I came from. Coming from OpenLP and digging what FreeShow has to offer. Thanks for the videos that help folks like me navigate this product. Vastly different from my previous experiences. If you are coming from something that is not ProPresenter, I would dare to say that FreeShow is a culture shock. It is a shock to your system. I know for me, that was one of the hardest things. I was like, how does this work? Like, what is it supposed to do? How am I supposed to make this do what I needed to do? It was difficult. All right. And so I definitely agree with you, my friend. Coming from OpenLP, this is a totally different world. Totally different world. All right. Let's talk about more settings in the themes. This is something that's completely up to you, but I don't know if you know this or not. In ProPresenter, you can't change your themes. All right. You can't change anything on your themes. It just looks great like this by default. But in FreeShow, you can change your theme to be whatever you want. So the default looks like this. All right. Everything is a little bit darker and it's a pink as your secondary color. I prefer like the blue setup that they give. It's a little bit lighter and it makes blue the secondary color. And so it gives that accent of everything being blue, which I love, right? But you can pick any other one of these you like, right? And you can create your own. So you can say, hey, I want to create and add my own. And what it does is it brings it up here and you say blue. It says blue 2 by default because that's what I was in. And it starts you there. And then you can just start tweaking stuff. So I can say, I want my accent color to be kind of this teal blue and not like a sky blue. And then I want my text to be yellow instead of white, right? And I just made my own theme, custom theme. This is really cool, especially if you're looking at doing it to maybe be like a, what do you call it? Match your church ministry theme. This is something that you can pick the colors to match that, which is really cool, which is something that you don't get to do in most other programs, especially ProPresenter. Okay. Let's see here. Claude says, if I configure volunteer A to have access to section A in FreeShow and volunteer B to have access to section B, can they both work simultaneously while connected to Google Cloud? On two separate computers. So basically, Claude, if they're working on Google Cloud, they're going to be on two separate computers because Google Cloud is syncing up one computer to another, right? So you would have volunteer A and B on one computer, on computer 1, and then volunteer A and B with the same settings on computer 2. So yes, they can work because they're on two separate computers. All right. That shouldn't be a problem whatsoever. If that, let me know if that answers your question. But I believe that's, yeah, they would be able to work on that without a problem. All right. But yeah, I'm actually digging this new thing, by the way. So I'm gonna keep that there. And then let's see here. This is where things get interesting. So auto updates. All right. I've got that off. Now, the reason I have that off is because I want it to be important for me to be able to go back and read what the updates are. I would recommend you keep that off if it's not off by default. I can't remember because it's been so long since I've downloaded FreeShow. But if it's not off by default, I would turn it off because you want to be comfortable knowing what you know, right? So you want to make sure that everything is working the way you need it to work. And if there's an update that you like, then you go and you manually download that update, all right? But I don't like auto updates on anything, any tools I use. My whole computer, my OS that I'm using for my computer, I don't use auto updates for that either. So that's just me, all right? Alert when a new update is available. Now that's something that's really cool that I do turn on along with new betas. I like to see the betas and the updates. All right. And then auto locate missing files. That's on as well. And then I got enable close confirmation pop up. I've turned that off. I don't need to ask me, am I sure I want to close the program? Because I closed the program. I'm sure I want to close it. All right. So that's that. And then let's see here, empty shows, delete duplicated shows. You can go in and do that if you wanted to. And then delete empty shows. You can do that. So I can go in and shows, okay, these are all empty shows. Oceans, default D, unnamed 2, announcements 2. All right, so I can get rid of those. I'm completely fine with that. And these are just that's just one of the functions of it, right? Now, I'm gonna go back up to the general, all right? If we go here, you're gonna notice down on the bottom right, there's a lot of different things here. Another fun setting that I would recommend you look into is your managing of your colors. All right, down at the bottom, you can manage your colors. Now, this one is really cool because if you if you like to use a certain color all the time, this goes back to maybe the ministry brand or just your favorite setup that you like, right? So whatever it is, you can set up those colors by adding them in here. So you can literally add a color. And if you don't know the RGB of it, you can hit this little arrow, and you don't know the HSL, you can hit the arrow again and it'll give you the hex. So if you know the hex number, you can put that in and you can cycle back between those. So maybe you have the RGB, you can put that in there, but you can literally pick any color you want. I'm gonna pick kind of like this purplish, bluish something. All right, so I got that and I hit enter and it's added. So I got these two colors added. I got a burgundy and I got this bluish color. Now gradients are pretty cool too because you can automatically add new gradients. And what this is doing is it's building it in to your default settings. So when you go to change the color of a text, it'll pop up all these colors that are there by default, plus the ones that you're adding down here in your settings. When you want to make a gradient or change the color of a text box or something like that, you'll automatically have these colors there with the right hex code number and all that kind of stuff. So this is a really powerful feature to me when it comes to how to do it. And you can disable any of them by just hovering over them, and you can click it and it'll automatically go away. You hit the trash can and it goes away. And the ones that are default, you can't get rid of those. You can click them all day, but all they do is they just kind of disable, but they don't go away. All right. So I'm gonna turn them back on. I don't want to disable anything. All right. But that's another way you can do it. Okay. And managing icons, this one I don't do much with, but you can add in your own SVG items. For those graphic designers out there, you might have some SVG pieces that you want. And SVG is just a file type that is, I'm trying to think the best way to describe it. It's kind of like, it's resolution independent is the best way I can describe it. So it can be as big or as small as you need it to be, regardless of the resolution of the platform you put it on in terms of the screen size or anything like that. It'll work perfectly fine. All right. And so these are all the built-in ones. You can add more if you wanted to. I've never done that because I'm not a graphic designer. My wife, on the other hand, she is. All right. Now this one, managing dynamic values. I have gone in and I've messed with this. You can dictate which dynamic values are going to show up in your list when you are, for example, going in to change adding a dynamic value into a text box or something like that. You can dictate what you want to see in there. It defaults to where it shows. You can't take that off. In time, you can't take that off. But projects, you can turn that off. Okay, you can deactivate RSS feeds. You can deactivate that as well. And you can add RSS feeds. Now, this one's kind of crazy cool because dynamic values, if you don't know, are basically pre-generated content or live generated content that you create in FreeShow. You can create your own dynamic variables or dynamic values from variables that you manage, and you type a new thing in there and it'll automatically show up. And that's kind of what I've got when I do, when you see my title pop up here, that word FreeShow Friday and the actual date up there, those are actual dynamic values. So this automatically changes for me. I don't keep typing in a new date every time FreeShow Friday comes up. I just put in a dynamic value that says month, day, year. Okay. And it automatically show up right. I put a dynamic value, a variable that I made, and it actually is just called FreeShow Friday title. And I put in whatever I want the title to be. And for now, I just keep it at default FreeShow Friday. Going back to this in the settings for RSS, you can find an RSS feed that you like and populate that data that they're feeding into here, and you can make that show up inside of your shows, which is crazy. All right. So that's a mind bomb thing. So I wanted to bring that up to you because I have played with that. I like that feature. I don't necessarily need to use it, but you all may need to. All right. You can also manage your metadata. in terms of what shows up or what you can put in. You can deactivate any of these, so it's not going to give you a field for that when you're in your show. You don't have to worry about seeing a whole list of things you don't necessarily use. So for me, for example, I don't use the key, the composer, author, and artist are kind of the same thing to me, but I get that they're different. Publisher and all that stuff, copyright, song, CCLID, those things you can keep on or off, but you can activate and deactivate those from here, which I think is pretty cool. And you can make your own custom metadata, right? So you can put in here a piece of metadata to say, you know, I don't know, you can tie whatever metadata you want to your shows, which is really cool, which is just another avenue for you to create a dynamic value. Okay, so you can tie some, maybe you can, I don't know, add a color code or something, add color, and then type in the color. This is blue, this is red, this is green, and use that as a way to do something special. I don't know what, but yeah, you can do all kind of cool stuff with it in that way. All right, so those are the settings that I would change and look at. Let me look here at the comments as we wrap up. I got about 5 more minutes. Let's see here. If I configure volunteer. Okay, so we talked about, okay, so TR Prek says, have you covered creating name overlays similar to the way the one is the way the one in the OBS plugin works and looks? So name overlays. I don't know what the one in the OBS plugin, what it looks like, but I have done a lot with overlays. So check out my videos on overlays. Let me see what I would recommend. If I do a search here, I'm gonna just search for overlay. I'll do it as just overlay by itself. All right, so overlays in FreeShow. These are all fairly older. I'm trying to think if there's anything that's up to date. This one, the secret power of variables, I talk about overlays in that one where it talks about titles and things like that. So I would recommend looking at that one. And the older ones too about overlays, those are helpful too. I'll have to make a new one. Let's see, smart categories, advanced game show, timer settings, overlay timers, overlays in FreeShow, and then the overlays tab. Those are 2 separate things. So those 2 are both going to be helpful, but I need to do, I might have to do a deep dive in that. I know it in my beginner's guide to FreeShow. So this is an older version of it. I've updated the beginner's guide to FreeShow to where it's got more up-to-date content in it. So if you do want that, you can get that on my website. I believe it's $24.95, the whole guide, and it's a online tutorial that you can walk through all the different facets of FreeShow to help you get started as a new user. And in there, I have an updated version about overlays. And so that's another thing. You guys may not see me doing a lot of videos on YouTube, but I do make videos, and I have updated videos and things like that on my website. They're not for free always, but there is some up-to-date content there. So I'm gonna go back into my YouTube library. I was just thinking about this, and I'm gonna probably go back and redo a lot of the videos that I've made in the past. So that'll be a fun adventure, hopefully before the year's out. Let's see here. Claude says at 6 p.m. Volunteer A starts FreeShow from home, and Volunteer B starts from the church. Each edits their own section. A saves and exits at 6:30 p.m. updating the cloud. When B saves and exits at 6:45. So with that one, Claude, they both are synced up on the Google API. So whatever they save to the Google API is going to be saved real time. So at what they save at 6 o'clock, whatever they save is going to be saved in the Google API. Whatever the one happens that saves at 6:30 is going to be saved in the Google API as well. And the last one is going to be the most up-to-date version. So 6:30 is going to be the latest version. The reality is you have to sync it, right? So if they didn't sync up, they didn't see each other's changes until they synced up and they saw them. So that would be the thing. So they would need to sync up in terms of going into their settings and hitting sync. I don't have mine set up that way, but from what I remembered, I did have it set up for a while before. But if you go into, where's it at? Files in the Google API service, there'll be an option here once you do set it up to sync. Okay, so you click this and it says you got to pull in your Google API. I don't have one active right now, but you put that in, and then it says you can disable uploading data if you wanted to, but upload files to your Google Drive. Don't you know how to get one? Don't know how to get one, so you can click there. But yes, it will sync up both of those. It will save both of those, and the latest version will be the latest version, and you will be able to sync when you get to the church or whatever it is after 6:30, and you'll be able to see all the changes from both of those if you sync up. If that let me know if that makes sense. All right. Let's see here. Will this change overwrite A's updates? Yes, the 6:30 change. I say update in the cloud when B saves and exits at 6:45. So the 6:45 change, I'm sorry, will be the latest change. Whatever changes were made at 6:30 and those are synced up and saved, those will be there. But at 6:45, if those changes were not synced up and seen, whatever was saved in terms of, I'm trying to think about the best way to put this. I'm guessing you're saying is it going to overwrite? That I can't speak to exactly. I'll leave that. I'm gonna talk with Christopher about that just to verify, because I don't think they will overwrite because they didn't sync up, right? So B didn't get the changes that A had, so there was no way to overwrite those, if that makes sense. And so I'm not sure how the API on the Google Cloud is going to actually navigate that or manage that when they're two separate things happening at the same time. Will it potentially overwrite a file or not? That I don't know. I think I get what you're saying, though. I'm not sure how to answer that just yet, so I'll have to find out. Is there a way to tie overlays to only your live stream? Absolutely. There's definitely a way to tie overlays to your live stream. So to do that, all you would do is you would go into your settings for your output and you just hit edit. And then you would go into, now I say this is how I would recommend you do it. You always start at your output to edit it, and then you'll see your style as default, and then you can change your default. So I just hit the settings there and I can just turn off overlays for my overlay in-house. And now, so now I don't see the Free Show Friday up there. All right. But I do see the overlay here for my live stream. So you would change it. Basically, you're changing your style. Okay. So I'm gonna turn it back on for me because I do want it to be on. So now with the overlays on, you can see Free Show Friday in the main service, because for me, my main service, I'm doing both of these. So when I do my my intro, I have overlays in that intro video that I show you guys. I got a little timer and all that kind of stuff, and a little scroll thing at the bottom. All that's showing through my primary output. I guess I can make it show through my live stream, but I don't have it set up that way. So you got the flexibility though, Larry, to definitely do that. And then in this one though, if I right click on edit my my live stream output and I edit that, you'll see it's called Live to Training Style. We're looking at our styles, and if I hit edit, you'll see the overlays are on, but everything else is deactivated. My backgrounds are deactivated and my slides are deactivated. So it's completely transparent. And even though there's words here that says welcome to Free Show Friday, that's text on an actual slide. You don't see that inside of here because I've deactivated the slide text. But if I activate it, you'll see it come back and it'll show up there and it'll say welcome to Free Show Friday. Okay. And so you definitely have that flexibility, and that makes Free Show crazy and dangerous because it is completely robust. It can do pretty much anything you can think of that you want to do. It's just a matter of, do you know how to do it? Like, do you know that about the program? And so when I do live streams like this, my main goal is really to expose you guys to as much as I can for you all to come up with solutions to problems that you're going to face that I may never know about or may never understand because I'm just not in your setup and your situation, but you're equipped enough to be able to go in and make changes like you want to. So yes, Larry, you definitely can do that. And it's just the style that you've allocated for your primary needs to be different than the style you've set up for your live stream. The one for the live stream, you turn overlays on in that style. And then the one for your primary, you would go into your style, which is right here. This is a style and it's set to default. You would turn it off and it would automatically make that overlay go off. Okay. Great questions, you guys. Now, with all that being said, have a great rest of the day. Have a great weekend. And I got some homework to do. I need to make some notes here. So I'm going to ask about the Google API overrides. There's another question in here. I have to go back and look at it to figure out. I can't remember what it was, but I couldn't answer that one either. So I'll find out. I'll go back and look at the notes and see. And stay tuned for more Free Show Fridays and other things. All right, you guys. Have a blessed rest of the day. Thank you for watching this video. Really hope it helped you in a major way. At this point, most people would ask you to like and subscribe, and I think that's great. but my goal is a little bit different. My goal is to empower as many people as possible all over the globe. And there's one way that you can really help me do that, and that is to leave a comment below with a question, a thought, how this video may have helped you, or things that were left out that you still have questions about, and to share this video with someone just like you, someone who is looking for answers, someone who's curious and wants to grow. With your help, I believe we can build a community of people that want to grow together. So until next time, God bless.